Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to another live coding session. We're just checking Twitter and so there's some kind of new thing that everybody's talking about is AutoGPT. I have no idea what it is, so if anyone knows, please post it in the comments, would be appreciated. But for now, let's go to our topic straight ahead. So since last time, our task in getting the Android TV support for Uno platform up and running is to fix up a few of the to-dos. There is just a few of them, and then write documentation, of course, because if it does not have documentation, it does not exist, as the CEO of Uno platform said. And finally, then we can make the PR ready to be released. So these things are our agenda today, and maybe if we are fast enough, we can start something new afterwards. We'll see. So let's go. So I actually already prepared this draft PR with all the changes that we have made so far. So what I will do now, and I don't understand why I'm getting notifications even though I shouldn't be, so I will probably kill that somehow. Well, anyways, so since the last time our goal is to finish this up. So since the last time we made the changes to Android virtual key translation from Android key code to virtual keys on Windows. So we did that, and we actually even mapped some of the new keys which were not previously supported in Uno platform. So it actually improved support for key handling even for existing implementation. But what we want now is to verify that we didn't break the text box support, which is very crucial, of course, because without text box there is no UI framework. And if that works, then I think there's one more change that is needed in the text box control itself, where it was raising the key event for some reason. And that part needs to be handled as well. So that's just something we need to do afterwards. And then check this up. And then we can actually start with the documentation, which should be quite easy because we'll definitely use ChatGPT to help us and make it easier and faster to create that PR. So I will go here, check if we have the right target. We don't. We need to have Android as the target, so I will switch to Android. Yeah, come on. Android. And switch to Android only solution. And we'll see what happens. So, to actually start reviewing the changes that we made, let's go through the files quickly. So, this one is the main file in Samples app, which required adding of the banner, which is the drawable that's drawn when the application is shown on the Android TV emulator. This is fine, we need to document this, but that's gonna come after. The next thing is the intent filter for Android TV and categories. We have done that already. That's again something that needs to be documented. Same thing for this, that it doesn't require touchscreen and does not require lean back, but supports it. So again, something that needs to be documented. This is changing the icon, adding the banner. So far so good. This is just moving the files, adding Android resource in the Samples app. And then we come to this part. Well, actually, what we need is also to redo these changes on the .NET 7 version of the Samples app. So let's do that right away, because that makes sense. We didn't do it yet, so let's take care of it. And we just check. Let me check this thing. There are 2 key codes. The original code has a logging implemented for the cases where you don't have the right mapping available. So that's something we need to add. Yeah, we have this all included. So I will just add this. Or actually, we cannot add this logging here easily, because it's an expression based, right? So I cannot do something like this. That doesn't work. That's unpleasant. Is there a way to switch expression? Yeah, something like that would be very nice. Well, yeah, but that's ugly as hell. So I guess what I will have to do is just to switch back to switch with cases and all, and to make sure that logging is there, because that's useful. So can I revert to switch? No, block body, yes, but switch. Would be nice. There was a reversion. Can add cases, but I cannot switch to a classic switch after this. No. Oh, okay, it must be some kind of thing that switches back to normal switch. And vice versa. There should be a snippet that allows me to do this. The refactoring that allows me to do this. So maybe if I add the missing cases. We'll see. So let's go back for now to the checking of files. So application activity, the change is there. Remove Uno authentication broker and Uno extensions and Uno gaming input internal. All of these are curious, but we'll verify. Now dispatch key event. Instead of the enable experimental keyboard focus, that is now enabled by default, so this is gone. So this part is handling the keyboard input, whereas we are getting the virtual key from the key code that's been pressed, and then raising the event for key down or key up on the core window, and then afterwards it's raised on the focus element as a bubbling event as usual for any other routed event. So that's happening here, and then it's also catched and raised as unhandled exception in case something happened which we didn't expect. The gamepad is there, so it seems like the gamepad support was not removed. It's just still there. Now for this part, for the directional focus handling, this was here, but I think that it was actually moved to the Uno Focus input handler, which was handling it for Skia and WebAssembly, and now it's handling it for Android as well. So this part, which was removed, was moved there, or actually it was already there but wasn't used. So by virtue of raising that key down and key up event, it's being handled automatically by the Uno Focus input handling code. So that's fine. I guess that's fine. Now this is still running. Okay. Let me do one thing, which might definitely help. I will close this. And in here, no, here. We'll temporarily disable the Roslyn generators, which are slowing down Visual Studio very significantly. So doing this usually helps a lot with IntelliSense and all the related features. So I will try that at least temporarily, and then I will bring it back. So we have this file, and I will try now IntelliSense on this. We'll have to wait for Visual Studio to initialize, because otherwise it will not give us anything useful, but it seems to be there. Okay, use expression and missing cases. So I will add missing cases, and then I will try to switch it to switch statement. Although it doesn't seem that it's going to happen. Maybe this will allow me to convert it back. No, still nothing. It's very unpleasant. I don't want to really rewrite the whole thing, but maybe some kind of search and replace will be enough. So how would we do this? So switch key. So basically we want something like case, key code, and then return the value. So what I will do is that I will replace the arrow by, or let me do a regular expression. So it's gonna be something like not current project, but definitely current document, and it's gonna be this, and comma, and we will be replacing that this way. So it's gonna be a case $1 colon return, and in this case it's actually it's here, but where was it? To virtual key. Well, let's do it for now. 2 and this way, right? That makes sense. So I will try this. Yes. Oh no, of course. That's not what I wanted really. But anyways, key to virtual key. This is the one. Right, I need this one as a default. And now, hopefully, let's get rid of this. Refactor, format document, and we are done. Right, because we have this wrong reference, but this should be reasonably good. So all of these are there, and finally the default case is this one. So for key code, no, it's key now. We log it, log level warning, then we do it like this. Right, good. Okay, so let's do it like this. UI element, because it's already related to UI element. So even though we are actually Windows system, so core window is better. All right, so this is now logging as before, so we didn't lose the logging feature for virtual keys. Yeah, this one. This is actually the correct one. We checked it last time. And this is just remainder of code which was picked up by regular expression correctly. Yeah, I think this should be just fine. All right. Hopefully there are no copy-paste errors, but so far it looks good. So I will save this. And actually, what I will also do is get rid of the old to virtual key thing. This one is no longer useful. And to virtual key, there's one more. Yeah, there's something else entirely. All right, so that's very good. Now, let's continue with this. So I will just open that application activity here. So this creates the event arcs that are then passed to the core window for handling. And then it's handled by the focus manager. And this if should be actually like this, because in WinUI there is no core window. So for those cases there will be no core window handling this. But in case of non-WinUI applications, we still need to perform this handling ourselves. So we'll route to the focused element, then raise the key routed event arcs on that element and bubble up from there. And then it's the gamepad handling, and then it's the system-based handling if we didn't handle it ourselves before. Okay. Okay. Right, like right now, it doesn't cover the case where you want to do the preview key down and key up events. So the tunneling events, which allow you to preview that event and cut it down before it actually reaches the focused element. But with this logic is not implemented at all yet. So we are just doing the bubbling part, and the proper preview key down and key up we have to implement in a different PR. For now, this is mainly to support the Android TV, so we don't really have to care about this part yet. Okay, now this log does not seem very useful. Because presses began, this sounds like something from iOS. So let's do it like this. Let's at least rewrite this, which is much better. Yeah. Okay. So core window, and now the Uno focus input handler is attached to a UI element, which is then handling key down and key up. And if I remember correctly, we attached this to the root element of the window. So in case it's a root of the Uno island or the root element of the visual tree. So that's enough. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so this should be okay. So let's mark this as viewed. Then we have button base, where we removed some dead code which wasn't referenced anywhere. Doesn't bother us at all. Now we have the text box changes, and that's the tricky part, where we have the on key press. It was raising key press on the text box. And I think this is to implement the enter button on the keyboard. Yeah. So this is the action button on the keyboard. Okay. So what we do now is we raise event. It's gonna be key up event, and we create the event arcs. It's not really a great solution, I think, because, well, it's not raising the key down event, it's just raising key up, which is kind of weird. So I would expect it to do key down and key up instead. So let's actually do it to make things nicer and more meaningful. It's complaining because this shouldn't be. Wow, why was it true? Key event arcs true? Huh. Is that some kind of different key event arcs? True. Then it must be some overload with true. Maybe it was here. Key event arcs, key event. No, it wasn't. Huh. What is this overload? Where is it coming from? Key event. Ah, there are actually two different key event arcs. No? One is in here. And there's key down event arcs. No. Wait, this is kind of weird. True. What was this referencing? It is kind of odd that it doesn't seem to exist, this overload with true, with key code, key event. Ah, okay, it was raising the native on key press with key event arcs, which are coming from Android. That's more like it. So key event arcs. Key down. On key press. Okay. And the part that we removed in the code was on key press, which was a protected event with sender and key event arcs, which are coming from Android. But this one was actually just raising those managed key routed event arcs. So it shouldn't be any problem for us. We just need to raise key routed event arcs, not key event arcs. And I have to verify that this one, yeah, it raises key event arcs and then key routed event arcs. So that sounds like it. Good question is whether if you handle a key event on the core window, if it then also raises on the focus element, or if you handle it, it will not be raised. So let's test that here on UWP, because that's our best testing ground, because it includes also core window and also it includes core window, which is not present on WinUI, so we couldn't test it there. Core window, get from current thread, key down, and we will do arcs handled. And if I'm not mistaken, then it will not be raised on the focus element at all. Preview key down, just out of interest to see if preview key down event is raised. And then I will also try to test button register, no, key down, routed. Okay, it's something like routed event. Event is routed. There's a way to register an event even if it was handled. So UWP register handled. UI element add handler. So that's it. Test button. UI test button. Key down. Event. And it's gonna be handle key down. This should be raised in case it was already handled. If I do like this, right, element, and it should be routed key routed event. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what happens now. So my suspicion is that handling the event on core window will prevent the right, of course. So what is the handler for keyboard events? This button, keyboard, key event handler. Maybe. Yeah. Right. So my suspicion is that if I'm focused and if I press a button, it's handled by preview down. That's because the tunneling event goes before it reaches a focused element. Then it goes into key down, okay. Then into handled key down, but that's even though it was handled by, right. So, oh, interesting. So core window gets the event as a last thing, not before the normal UI element, key down, and so on. So this means that if I do handle the key down here, then core window will not get it. No, it's still received by core window, but it's mentioned it's handled. So core window will get that event either way, but it will be marked handled if you already handled that event before. And if it's not, then it will get there with handled false. Yeah, that's true. So that's good to know, because our existing implementation was raising the core window events before the normal key rounding events. So we need to fix that. This is the proper way to do it. And we need to have something like this. Now handled equals rounded event. Rounded arcs handled. So this is the first chance to handle it. Then we need to create the core window event, which should be moved there because it's not used anywhere else. So core window arcs. There we have to set the handled properly, so it's gonna be in here. Handled equals handled, and then after all that we will set not set handled to true always. It will depend on how we handle it inside of the key handling. So that's big improvement probably to align it with Windows, with the behavior of Windows, because now core window will get the key event after the UI element, which is what Windows is doing. And I wonder if that's the case for Skia as well, because I think the handling there goes through core window and then to UI element. So core window Skia. No, not here. Or maybe let's do WP. Oh, not see it here. So let's open a different instance of Visual Studio and just verify. Because if it's not happening this way, it's something that should be checked and fixed. So net 7, Skia, If no changes there, no. Okay, so we fixed the application activity order of events, and we fixed this text box raising of custom events. So this and yeah. Good. Right, so I will save these changes and just run it to see what happens. And in the meantime, we have the Skia app here, and I will go to WPF host, key down or something like this. Key down, no. It's maybe input. I don't remember exactly how it's registered there, so I have to search a little bit. Key up, key down. So this is handling the key up and key down events, and then here. Okay, yeah. So we raise the key up and key down event on the core window, which raises the key up and key down event on the core window, but it doesn't seem to raise the key events on the focused element, which is odd. Because I was quite confident that we had it there. Input frame ID host pointer handler. This is for pointers. Nope. Key down or key up. It really does seem like that's the only place where we do it. And what happens then? Ah, okay. So there is a keyboard management environment which handles the core window key up and key down, and then it raises the key down and key up events on the focused element, which is the incorrect order, and also it's dependent on core window, which is simply not possible because core window will be gone in the WinUI. So we definitely need to fix this. Oh, maybe that's some task for some next live coding sessions. I will just have to raise that as a error, as a bug that needs to be fixed. So and maybe even on WebAssembly. Even though actually, on WebAssembly we are raising it using key down and key up in the browser, which goes through the classic key up and key down events in the browser, which are bubbling then from the focused element. So there the problem is not actually happening. So it should be fine, even though I'm not sure if it then raises the core window key down and key up. That could be also something to check. But okay, so okay. Works on WinUI. Affected platforms are Skia based. And yeah, that should be okay. Let's mark it as WinRT input and difficulty is medium in this case. Alright, so that's the reported bug, and let's go back to our main topic. So we tried to build this, but it failed because of this is not generated, and this was failing because we don't have something correct. Yeah, right. Need to fix this. So this is the original source. Virtual key. Enter. And this is okay now. That's enough. Right. Yeah, one more. So let's build it. Yeah, and we will need to also build the samples generator. Oh. Yeah. Okay, this is building. And now we can build the whole thing. Let's close this for now and go back to our PR. So we are here now. So text box, Android, this handling is now fixed. iFramework implementation. So we removed a lot of code here, which was raising the key down and key up events on the specific element without bubbling, which was unnecessarily there because we can just bubble them up as normal routed events, and there is no harm in doing that. So we removed all of this code, but there should be no impact whatsoever and it should be quite fine. Yeah. So this is okay. Now focus selection. Here we extended the functionality to handle gamepad, D-pad up, D-pad down, left, right, and so on. And yeah, this is the to-do that I forgot about. This is the one that should decide whether the XY focus keyboard navigation is enabled or not. And in Windows, this XY focus keyboard navigation mode is inherited property which can be changed on the root element, and then it bubbles down to all the ancestors. No, well, descendants. But we have not done that yet. So I will just check here. Where is the dependency property on UI element? And it should be inheriting. So if it inherits, we should be able to do this. Let me test that afterwards. So if that is the case, we should be able to set the navigation properly. So Xbox, UWP, something like that. No. It should be in the documentation of UWP somewhere. Let's try navigation. So I focus navigation. Okay, so the requires pointer mode when requested. Should enable focus navigation, but we can just do it explicitly, so I will check that instead. But for now, let's see. Typing on the keyboard. Yeah, we need to type somehow using that Android emulator thingy. Yeah, this typing is working quite fine. And if I confirm this, it should raise that action event here. Yes, that is working well. Yeah. Right. So this is fine. So we fixed this part. The typing seems to be working also, and what we also need is to... I will now launch it on my phone instead to test properly the whole keyboard handling part. And yeah, I wanted to verify the XY navigation mode. So instead of doing this change in focus selection, which shouldn't be there. I will check this properly. And if someone wants to enable the XY focus keyboard navigation mode, then it will have to be enabled manually on the root element of the application. I will do it right here on the main page. And if everything is implemented correctly, it should apply across the board. No, not here, but let's do it in... Well, we can do it here. Focus keyboard navigation enabled. So if I do this, it should be applied to all the descendants automatically. I will not keep it there because the Samples application needs to be used by... there are runtime tests which are testing the XY and focus navigation property, and if I add this here, it will probably break some of the tests. But for the testing purposes and verification, we can definitely just try it for this one specific occasion. I'll prepare my phone here. Right. So this change was undone and these are okay. So overall this is okay. Then we have this where we are handling the new keyboard gamepad, D-pad up, down, left and right. That's okay. Then we have Android. Yes, the handling of Android of key down, key up events on the core window. You can see that's fine, and you can also confirm here that WebAssembly is not doing the core window key events yet, so that's something we can add also. This should be actually very easy to add, so we can maybe handle that even today. Because we already handled the key events, so adding core window key down and key up is just a very small task. Right, so this one. And it's already deploying to my phone, so I will be able to show it to you here. So what we want to verify is that the keyboard navigation will work and the key events are raised in the right order. Yeah, okay, so this is fine. Then we have virtual key. We changed the numbering of the enum values. Well, enum names, which is quite important because it's kind of a breaking change in this case. But everybody is using the names instead of the values. Well, the change is significant, but it's aligning with WinUI and UWP, so it shouldn't be a big problem. We'll see what the code review says. We can mention it there. So if it's a problem, it's a breaking change, we can undo it and move it to breaking changes when the next major release of Uno platform is out. Now we have the conversion between virtual keys and key codes. And it's just the switch statement. So that's fine. We fixed the keyboard equal sign on iOS and on macOS. And then we have the core window on Android, which is the key down and key up event. And it's the raise key up and key down event, nothing too special there. And we remove the iCore window event special interface because we can share it across iOS and Android, so that's fine. Unfortunately, it's public. I'm not sure if this is mentioned in the breaking changes because we should have it as internal. So breaking changes roundup. iCore window. Yes, it shouldn't be public. And it's actually even already done, so that's nice. Right. Selection. So let's push this part. Actually, let's check how it looks now. So here is the phone screen, you can see it, hopefully. And if I move the arrows on the keyboard, press the keyboard and the arrow keys on the keyboard, it's moving the focus. So it should be going here properly. Let's see. So if I press it, I get a breakpoint here. So the keyboard navigation mode is enabled, so it works. So the inheritance takes care of enabling the XY focus navigation everywhere. So that's fine. And now what I want to see is that, for example, on button page, buttons, I can focus on some checkbox, press it, press this one, press it back to dark theme, and then I can do radio button, yes, and the checkbox, uncheck it and check it. But what I don't like is that I'm getting this not responding. I'm not sure why, but it's probably just some warning. But what I don't like is that I'm getting that focus rectangle on Android, which comes from the system. That shouldn't be there. And I probably know why. Because the Uno Focus input handler should be marking that. Yeah, it's handling it. Is handling it. Maybe the application activity Android. We are raising the core event arcs, but not grabbing that handled value again afterwards. So that's the problem. So we need to grab it afterwards, so make sure that we know that we handled it ourselves and we don't let the system handle it. So we prevent the focus navigation that's built into Android to handle the thing, and we handle it ourselves instead. let's relaunch this on the phone just to verify, but it should be okay. And if that is the case, then I think we are done with this PR because all the changes that we needed are there. So we can start working on the documentation for it also. So let's open docs and articles and features. Guides. I'm not sure where to put it. Maybe this belongs into guides, but yeah, I guess so. It's related to focus management, but it's also kind of a overarching feature support for Android TV. So I will put it here. So in this case, I need to mention that we are supporting Android TV itself. Let's do like this. So so the X by focus. In the meantime, let's check our implementation is working again. So if I'm doing the tabbing, oh, it's still doing the native Android focus for a reason. Yeah, it's still there. Not exactly sure why. Doesn't make sense to me. Huh. So why is this happening? Why is there the focus rectangle? So it's not handled, this is not handled, and that's the... tab up key. Okay, okay, so we're handling tab down but not tab up key. The question is the focus handled using key down or key up in Windows? Stack panel. Let's get rid of this. So this is key down. Okay, key down. We'll have to do it like this instead. I will have to attach to focus manager, getting focus. So we know where it's, when in the sequence of events is happening. Key up, key down, key up, plus equals. So this is key up. Then is focus manager, and then is also key up event handled key up. So we have all the events that we can potentially reach, and then we will see what is the location when it happens. So key up, getting focus, key down. All of these are interesting to us. So we're getting focused, that's fine. Okay, there's a lot of those there. Ah! Right. We are interested only in case if the alt focus is button E and okay, and the new element is button E2. So only on these cases, because we were getting focus events for the window appearing and getting focus, when then it got stopped by the debugger, got into Visual Studio, got unfocused, and all the time it's just jumping up and down. So we couldn't get any interesting information from there. Right, so we're getting key up, and now if I press tab, we have key down for tab. Then getting focus. The breakpoints are interfering with this because I don't see the sequence properly. Because when I jump into Visual Studio, I break the key handling, kind of. And key up. Hello, MCNet. Page key up. Oh no, this is core window. Key up. This getting focus and handled key down, and this one also core window key down. So now let's see. output, clear it. Now tabbing and tabbing once more. So it's going through. Huh? That's weird. So I got only one getting focus. Once more. So one handled key down, getting focus, core window key up. There's only one getting focus event. Yeah, because it's cycling the focus, so it gets to nothing focused and then cycling back to the start. So focus. So there's some kind of keyboard focus. Focus navigation, tab focus navigation cycle, and I think this will be it. I need to cycle between those two buttons. And I will also output arcs handled. So I know if the focus handling also handles the events. And key down, key event. Key routed event arcs. And also here, arcs handled. And now we should see something more interesting, hopefully. So press tab, clean it, tab, tab. Okay, now it's getting focus all the time. So every time we get a handled key down, so we get key down event, then we are getting focus and core window key up, but not key up on the button because they were attached only to one button. Okay, let's do this. Add handler, that's better. So tab. Okay, that's better. More events. Okay, so handled key down. So on the page we get key down, then getting focused, key up, and core window key up. So the focus handling is happening before the key event is raised on the route on the UI element. Which means, and what if I do preview key down? Let's just check that thing. So preview key down, and yeah, let's do it like this. So preview key down. And preview key down for this one. So preview key down, key preview key up, and key up. So now we should see the whole sequence. Everything should be there. Okay, preview key down, getting focus, key up, key up, key up. That's weird. Previously it was getting the focus in a different sequence. So preview key down, then getting focus, then preview key up, core window key up. Well, wait. There is no key down? Or okay. So that is something. So if I understand it correctly, then Windows will, for the tab navigation, first handle key preview key down and key down. If it's not handled during the normal tunneling and bubbling, it will handle focus. And if it gets handled, it will stop the core window from being executed. So there is no core window key down. And then we have preview key up, preview key up, and key up for core window, which is the normal approach. Yes, if I'm holding the key, the tab key, it's just doing the navigation all the time. And if I do arrow key, which is not really handled right now, it will do the core window key up event and key down event normally. So I will try one more thing. So enabling the XY navigation. Tab. So preview key down, getting focus, preview up, core window up. Now with arrow we get, whoa. That's again very interesting. Oh, hello, morning for coffee. Dominic. Yes, it was a kind of unplanned stream today, but I wanted to have this Android TV support finalized. But again, we found something very odd that we didn't expect. So Windows is behaving differently than we expected. So focus is stopping core window events. Tab key is stopping core window key down from happening. But if I'm doing directional focus, it's still raising key down. But the key getting focus is happening before key down on the UI element, instead of after, as for tab navigation. Well, that's great. That's just perfect. what we wanted, really. So what does this mean for us? Application activity. application activity, Android. So the logic is completely different now. But it is definitely wrong even on Skia and WebAssembly and everywhere. So I guess what we can do is to report this as an issue for improvement later, because this will require bigger refactoring on all targets, not just Android. Yes, according to ChatGPT, that's nice, but I don't think that's really true. Yeah, it definitely happens in a different order, and that's different order for tap and also the directional focus. So directional focus happens between preview key down and key down, and tap focus happens after key down and before core window key down. Super weird. So align. Well, it's always no handles. So. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. Okay, so this is very interesting and very odd behavior. I would expect the focus handling to be in one place in one moment, so it's kind of predictable, but now it seems that it's happening in two different ways for different focus approaches. So this is something that should be aligned, but it shouldn't matter too much for normal applications. Probably it will matter for more complex applications like advanced controls, like those from Syncfusion or something like that, where they are relying on many of these like very specific behaviors, and there it will probably need these things to be fixed. But for now, we can probably skip it. What we don't want to skip is to keep the native focus highlight from Android to be there. And that's something we need to look into definitely. So the thing is that on Android, the focus is being handled on key up instead of on key down. And that makes it kind of tricky for us to handle it properly. We want to prevent the system to handle focus itself. So Android prevent focus highlight or something like that. Oh, set default focus highlight enabled. Is that all we need? Probably not here. Focus not here. Where could it be? Oh, so it's set globally for the whole up. Default focus highlight enabled false. Yeah. The unpleasant thing about disabling it everywhere is that if we do that, it will prevent focus in non-UNO platform native elements inside of the application. Which is not too great, to be honest. We are doing this request focus, but that is causing that focus highlight to be showing. There must be something like to do it programmatically on demand. Flutter? What do they have? Request focus has some kind of parameters. No. Request focus from touch. Could this be it? So we can try it. Request focus from touch. If that has the focus part but not the focus highlighting, that could be enough. Not completely sure, but we can try it just out of interest. And we can then check here, focus in Flutter. So Flutter GitHub. So request focus touch from touch. Not it. Focus. We need to find something that's Android specific. Even though I'm not sure if that will actually be there, because Flutter, I think it renders the whole thing as a unit, so it probably just handles its own focus, but because it doesn't render platform specific controls, it will not include them. Okay, let's go back here and see Android and focus highlight. Let's try ChatGPT, of course, that might help. Interesting. But again, if you do this, it will essentially prevent any focus highlighting for the platform specific controls that you might want to embed in Uno platform as like islands inside of the Uno app. I don't think that's true. No. Like it's odd because previously we didn't see this behavior. And the handle should be true for key down event. And it seems that it is true when you have D-pad left. Yes, and here it happens. So on the key up, it shows the system event, the system focus highlight. So what we need to do is to find a way to prevent this highlighting from happening on key up. No. Huh. There's so little documentation on this. Nothing. Oh, focus highlight helper. It's deprecated. Perfect. Okay, the constructor is deprecated. Okay. This seems like something that's related only to lists or something like that. List row presenter. No, this is for list purposes only. External keyboard. Mm-hmm. Now I got into a very weird state where I'm not getting focus handled by Uno at all. Key down. What is happening? Well, probably got broken by the emulator, by the debugger, because I broke. I did put a breakpoint there, and then didn't handle the up key. So that probably is the problem. Yeah, there's no focused element right now. If I press something, might get, yeah, I'm getting the focus again. Yeah. Okay. So if there's nothing focused, I still should get keyboard navigation. So that's something we should adjust here. Services, instance, root, main root visual. So if there is no element focused, then we will still raise that key event on the main root visual, so that the focus navigation still works. Okay. All right, but that does not fix our problem here. So it would be nice to have some documentation for this, because I don't really see anything useful. I don't know how to search for it even, so keyboard navigation, highlight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Android documentation and even also the iOS documentation is just not great. It's very hard to find things that you really want, because it's just too little information available. I really don't like that highlight, but how do I get rid of it, though? I don't see a way. Gray. Great. Android list view, everything related to list view. This is the closest thing that I found so far. Okay. A lot of stuff there. Okay, let's try something here. So the problem for us is that when we handle focus keys, it gets then handled by, and we set focus on that element ourselves. It still gets handled by the focus navigation of Android, which then moves that focus itself. So we always have the focus navigation on Android jumping, while our focus navigation is also moving, and it's just very weird. So focus enter Android. I'll just return this request focus. And this is handling the native focus. That's okay, but what happens? The problem happens here, where we are handling the virtual key tap and the arrow keys, and we previously handled the key down focus on that element. So the obvious way to go here would be to prevent Android from handling that event. So I could do something like if key virtual key is tap or virtual key or virtual key up or gamepad or virtual key gamepad down or key gamepad d-pad left or right. In that case, we want to prevent that navigation, but we want this to happen only in case the focused element is a UNO platform element. So if it's a native element, we don't want to handle it ourselves. So let's so if the event is key up, which is somewhere here, goes up, and the virtual key is what we are expecting for focus, and focus manager get focused element is not UI element, then we just return handled. So this is to prevent the focus navigation highlighting. But it's a workaround that I'm not really sure about. It might work, and it might be a big bug, so I'm not really sure about this one. Like the previous implementation that I had for the experimental focus handling, I think it also handled all of the focus related keys without caring about how they were erased or how they were processed. So let's verify that. Microsoft, no UI. XAML application activity Android. There is this experimental focus, experimental keyboard focus, and when you enable it, then it handled the focus, but only on focus down. Okay, so doesn't seem that it was different from our current implementation. So maybe the focus highlight issue was there also. Okay, so the alternative solution there would be to mark all Uno platform elements as non-focusable and just handle all the focus ourselves. But then again, you have the potential problem with native embedded elements that would be inside of Uno as islands. So that is probably not an option. It's getting very tricky. I mean, for a first version of the focus handling for Android TV, it shouldn't be that much of a big deal, but it's still something we need to address later. So at the very least, I have to mark it as an issue for later to adjust this. Anyways, let's wait for the build, and I will write this here. Right. Oh, it's getting kind of late. I have to be somewhere soon. So I will just fast forward this. Okay, so the application is launched on my device, and I will try to just do the focus navigation again. You can see that highlight is there. Okay, so it didn't really help. But the good thing is that it's moving correctly, and just the highlight is the problem. So if people want to disable the highlight, it can be documented that styling property can be set. So I need to document that in that document later. So disable. Yeah, and just put it there so I don't forget to include it, or I will just rewrite this a little bit later. But okay, so we didn't fix this highlighting problem yet. I'm not sure what this is. Oh, I don't see any changes there, but the main thing is that the handling is now being done correctly. I will discard this change because it doesn't seem to work. The good thing is that the handled properties that are now set correctly. It's going through UI element events and then through core window events, so that's good. The focus selection change is now reverted, so it's exactly as it's supposed to be. I will discard this part, and this thing is now it was just some fake change. So these two changes are what we need. I will put it there. Just key event order Android. And then I will take care of writing the docs. I will just need to add docs for the Android TV setup in the application itself, but that's gonna be quite just simple docs writing, so I will not need to really do that on a live session. But apart from that, I think the PR is ready to be reviewed. At least the code part of the PR is ready to be reviewed, and the focus highlighting can be disabled by users on demand as they need. So I guess that it's not a big problem overall. So I will mark it as ready for review. Actually, we have already some part of review there. So yes, that's exactly that we need to include it in the sample set for Xamarin, for .NET 7. Yeah, we can remove the property for Android, and this is, yeah, I will explain that later. Yeah, but overall I think this makes sense, and the PR is kind of ready except for some cleanup and the documentation. So that's good. Hopefully we will have a basic Android TV support in Uno platform very soon, and next time we will start looking into the issues that we created. So the alignment of the core window key down and key up events for WebAssembly, where it's not supported yet. The event order on Skia, that will be quite a bigger refactoring. and then we can start looking into preview key down and preview key up and these things, which will be very interesting because we will need to add tunneling events which are not yet in UNO platform at all. So that's going to be very interesting. All right, so thank you all for joining. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you, oh, not next time, next week, because on Monday I will be in US on the MVP Summit. So in something like 14 days, we will have another live coding session. Maybe I will do one from US, but we'll see. Depending on what will be my time availability and so on. So, anyways, have a great day, and I will see you next time.